Sorry for my lateness. Begin tonight with the Councilman Brenda Hughes leading us in prayer and pledge. And we are in session. Will you please stand?
Heavenly Father, I pray tonight for the gift of your wisdom, protection, and grace. We give thanks for all blessings received through you and acknowledge them with humble gratitude. Continue to bless this community and all our citizens with your spirit and guidance tonight. Help us heal from divisive actions that fracture the path to your purpose for us. Help us find common ground so we can do your work effectively. Give us the tools and the insight to always shelter the gifts you have provided and help us to rejoice and glorify all things that bring us closer to you. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Now we come to some recognitions. Beginning with honoring the emergency medical services. If you would join me down here.
I'll just let him go. This is the last meeting.
Chief, would you give us a word about these guys and what they've done and are doing?
All right, so excited. Our EMS week is next week, and we've been serving our community here in Kerrville since 1994. And today with us have Deputy Chief Stephen Boyd, Battalion Chief Billy Williams, Driver Myron Fiedler, Driver Dan Fuege, Lead Paramedic and Firefighter Lucas Potter, so Paramedic Chase Lindner, so Lieutenant Joel Bryant, and Paramedic Jack Scow with us today. So,
you know, I bet these guys have some stories to tell. But we don't have time for them tonight, guys. But anyway, hey, thank you for what you do in this community. Thank you for the lives saved, the folks that you've helped, the folks you've transported so that they could get the care they needed. And I say this often, but boy, our folks in this town appreciate what you do. Really do. So keep up the good work. Thank you.
There, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, okay. Oh, did you get it? Hey, standing up here with all these guys, just a second, standing up here with all these guys reminds me of that military term that I think I may represent it tonight, an unwarranted assumption of authority. You got it. Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service, guys.
Yeah, I'd like for Delane Siegerman to come stand up here next to me, and we have a proclamation to former Councilwoman Delane Siegerman. Okay. And tell us who's joining you.
This is Carol Milberger. She was my partner in the homeless count efforts both years. So she's been around since almost the beginning and a vital part of the effort. So
when she asks, I show up. So that's why I'm here.
Oh, okay.
now don't tell her.
When we were on council together, I learned that if you didn't want to get hurt, do what Delane asked you to do.
Now, Mike and Kevin, don't y'all add any to that, okay?
Yeah. I should say that Delane's husband, Mike, who's here, some years ago was part of the Houston Fire, proudly part of the Houston Fire Department. Okay.
You don't want to stay?
No, stay up here.
Okay, all right. Thank you for coming.
City of Kerrville recognizes Delane Siegerman with the May 10, 2022 Kerrville Kindness Award. Delane Siegerman has been making a diligent effort to track and assist the homeless population in Kerrville since her days as a city council member starting in 2018. Siegerman has organized volunteer teams to conduct homeless counts and pass out goodie bags with personal hygiene items, paper information, snacks, socks, and other essential necessities donated by area groups like Kerrville Sisters in Service. The purpose of these counts is to support the local homeless community by identifying unmet needs while offering information on existing or new programs or services available. Raise community awareness of the homeless, and provide data for the state in preparation for future grant applications on behalf of the homeless community. The Kerrville Kindness Program offers a sincere thank you to Delane Siegerman for her commitment to serving her fellow citizens. And I'm going to sign this and present it to you. I bet they'll get some pictures.
Hey, there's not as many people up here.
Anything you want to say about this count or anything?
Well, this year we only actually counted 3 homeless because the day they picked for us, which was the 27th of January, was the coldest day in our winter. It started at 20, it stayed 29 all day. So unfortunately, homeless people do usually have a backup plan, and we weren't able to count as many, but we know there are more. And the Sisters in Service, who is also, recognized tonight, they did a fantastic job. When I said, could you put some care packages together, they really went all out. And the care packages were wonderful this year. So we did not get to pass out a lot, but we managed to find people who needed them after the count. So thank you for thinking about homeless people and helping when you can. I appreciate it.
All right, let's hear it. Ms. Siegerman is now chairman of the board of the Doyle Community Center. So, all right, I'm going to ask Linda Abels, Celeste Hammond, and one other person, if you'll come up. Matthew Thurlow. Are you the only one here?
Celeste and Matthew.
Won't be able to attend.
Okay, all right. Okay.
What do they know? I don't know.
It's you. Resolution of commendation, whereas Linda Abels has served as a member of the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, the date of service beginning March 27, 2018, and whereas Linda Abels has served faithfully and dutifully on said board, now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Kerrville, Kerr County, Texas, Linda Abels is recognized for outstanding service as a member of the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, and that on behalf of the citizens of Kerrville, as well as for ourselves individually, we wish to express our sincere appreciation for contributions to the city and the community, passed and approved the 10th day of May, 2022. And I want to tell you, if you listed all of the service of this woman to this community over the years, it's amazing. And one example, Hill Country Youth Orchestra. But there's so much more that she's served and now in Parks and Recreation. You have any word for us?
Well, if you love this city, if you love this county, if you love everything about it, then you've got to serve. It's something you've got to do. You've got to look around and say, surely I can do something. And I will say this, I've never been bored.
Whoop.
Oh, wait. Okay.
Can you get us all in?
All right, good. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
Okay. Now, Mark Mosier. served on the board of the airport board very faithfully, and I'm going to say excitedly. He has ideas about what can be done, and has just served very well in that role. Whereas Mark Mosier has served as a member of the Kerr County Joint Airport Board, the date of service beginning February 2017, and whereas Mark Mosier has served faithfully and dutifully on said board, now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Kerrville, Kerr County, Texas. Mark Mosier be recognized for outstanding service as a member of the Kerr County Joint Airport Board, and that on behalf of the citizens of Kerrville, as well as for ourselves individually, we wish to express our sincere appreciation for contributions to the city and the community. Passed and approved this, the 10th day of May, 2022. Mark, congratulations. Do you have any word for us?
I do. I'm glad you asked.
Okay. All right. Why do you do that? Why do you do
Oh,
that?
here he goes.
I'm going to sign your certificate.
Okay. I'll try to be brief. That's never for me, as you know. It's been a while since I reported y'all.
Why don't you go over here?
Yeah. Mayor, City Council, thank you for allowing me to speak to you. I haven't updated you on a while at the airports. I just wanted to, you know me by now, those that do know me, give me a mic and you got to put a limit on me. So we are, as an airport, very economically healthy. I know everything's about economics. Back in 2010, we were not. We all were paying about $450,000 a year just to keep the lights on. We're, as they say, in the red. As of February 2017, or January 2017, about a month before I officially stepped on the board, it went into the black. Had strong leadership, 2010 on, strong leadership, independent board, and a local agreement as engineered by, at the time, Attorney General Abbott between the city and county. So they decided to run it like a business, and it's worked out quite well. Today, we're still in the black, and we're getting more in the black all the time. Not enough that we don't need a few dollars once in a while for capital improvements, but still, we are actually using a lot of our money to do improvements, such as this past year with Mary's strong leadership guidance. We spent several $100s out of our piggy bank to upgrade our most viable structure out there. It's commonly known as the Brakeman Hangar. 2018, Department of TxDOT, Department of Transportation, TxDOT, they, at Aviation Division, said that we brought in $38.6 million to our community as an airport. And that doesn't measure the ranches that bring in economics, all the different camps out there, but that's what they said. So, we know about, we've been a bit of a leader out there for people to come in. I mean, we got Kilders in from attention initially. They started looking at some hangar opportunities we had, and eventually they got here, and they're continuing to expand. We had some existing companies there, like Dugash, Kerrville Aviation. They have both grown and improved. Gulf Coast, which y'all know about, they're growing and improving. They're backed by a very large company, RBR, and they have lofty goals. We added Air Methods, stepped out there. That's the other helicopter ambulance, and we have both of them based there. We're very proud and excited about that. We've rented out everything. We don't have a broom closet left. We'd love to build some more. Get that? Our security and safety has greatly improved. We take that very, very seriously. But the leadership, I mentioned earlier, the past board members, Bruce McKenzie as an airport manager, and most recently, and probably importantly, is Mary. I call her my Energizer Bunny. She is relentless. She gets things done off my list onto hers, and she has her own list, which surprises me as we go through our weekly meeting. And her right hand in house, Carol Dugan, she's been there longer than any of us, and she really has vast knowledge. Sadly, I'm excited for her. She'll be retiring this September. And Jason Slaughter, he's the guy out there doing everything out in the fields. I'm very proud of Jason. He actually is doing the job for me. There were two people. Maybe that's why our economics are better. But lastly, my wife has supported the airport, myself, and this is a public forum, so I get to wish you a happy anniversary, honey. Appreciate that. Today. Didn't forget. Older people told me when I was young that time flies by, and I know technically I started February 17, but reality, I started 10 years next month in some capacity. When Tom Mosier wrote me in, he goes, oh, I met him at a gas station. We started talking about hangar money, and he goes, what's that? I said, oh, this is this match. We found $700 and some thousand. We built a bunch of new hangars, built 12 new hangars, and I was on the new hangar committee. So that was 10 years ago. So I've been involved with the airport board in some way or another. And it's, he told me, he said it's a lot of work, doesn't pay a thing, but it involves aviation. I said, I'm in. So, I look around, I see all these familiar faces, and you've all been great support for the airport. And we are truly at a crossroads, and I thank you for the past 10 years, and I look forward to the next. And I want to share a couple things. You're always big on economics. I've been working closely with Mooney. Mooney in December of 2019 bought the controlling interests away from China. And so they've been working to turn it around. And I've been waiting for the past year and a half, more specifically for the phone call I received today from the CEO, Jonathan Pollock. And I can't go in great detail, but some really good things happened today. Really good things. They already started on their own turning things around. They were down to like 20 employees, and they've been hiring. They're back to 35 as of today. They've opened their service center. They're increasing their parts. They're going to keep hiring. They're going to keep hiring. They don't want to hire beyond our needs. They're in the black. They're staying in the black. They're getting healthier. It's all good. I said, what do you need from us? He goes, leave us alone. We're doing good. So I said, okay, we'll support you as you need it. But they got a financial partner who has really deep pockets, and they're involved in some other really good aviation entities, enterprises. It's really good. So I'm very excited about that. The other one is right under our noses. Well, actually, not so much under Mary's nose. About a year ago, a fellow came and talked to Mary and I, and Mary did the hard sell on him and let him know how great Kerrville is. And his name is Robert Rice, and Bob is actually a native of Texas, and he had a very successful helicopter company out in California. And it costs 3 times more to do business in California. And he didn't mind paying the taxes, just didn't like what they went for. He moved his company. He was sold after meeting with Mary and I give more credit to Mary, he was sold on Kerrville. He wanted to be in Kerrville. He bought the 8 acres, so right next to Flying Diesel, it extends all the way back. They're deep. You drive by there, start rubbernecking or turn, go in that neighborhood, look down the hill, you see helicopters everywhere. This guy is in the business. All right. Selling, repairing. All right, here's what you want to hear. He has 12 employees now. He's going to go to 60. He's been there before. That's what you wanted to hear. Okay?
Yeah,
got it? That's good news. Okay. So our airport's the most valuable asset we have.
I told you he was enthusiastic about that.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Oh, we've got some Kayla folks who've served on their youth leadership team. Okay. Good. Hey, give us your name and where you are in school.
I'm Elena and I'm graduating.
Okay, graduating from?
High school, sorry.
Tybee?
No, sir, I'm homeschooled.
Homeschool, okay.
I'm Miriam, I'm a sophomore at Tybee.
Tybee, all right.
I'm Miriam, I'm a sophomore at Tybee.
Okay.
I'm Maria, I'm a sophomore at Tybee.
All right, great. Through this program, these students learn about the city, about leadership, and it's really a great program, and I think it makes a real difference. I think it gives you a broader sense of what's happening, right? All right. Okay, give them a round of applause. Okay, thank you.
We give them the certificates.
I'm sorry, do we have a spokesperson? Anything you want to say? No, okay, all right. Okay.
Wait a second. No, he hasn't signed them.
All right, we will go back to announcements about items of community interest.
Thank you, Mayor. We just have one announcement tonight. We have a program this Saturday at the library, our Gardening 101 program. It's going to be May the 14th, this Saturday at 10:30 a.m. And Master Gardener Jackie Skinner, she's going to be talking about best practices to ensure hibiscus plants thrive. I don't know what a hibiscus plant is, so maybe somebody can tell me. It sounds like a racehorse to me. I'll take hibiscus in the third.
Like plants.
So, anybody know what a hibiscus plant is?
They actually grow around here.
Do they? Well, I figure they do if she's doing a presentation on it. But, don't miss that. That's 10:30 Saturday morning. And do y'all have any announcements up here?
I have one.
Okay.
Now we go, council members?
Yes, just an item of community interest. Kerrville Pets Alive is going to be doing a free cat and dog vaccine and microchip clinic this coming Saturday on May the 14th from 10 to 2. That's going to be at Kerrville Pets Alive at 414 Clay Street. Cats will be getting the FVHCP vaccines. Dogs will be getting DHPP. And, of course, there'll be rabies vaccinations available. We will also have people there that will do well checks, as far as a vet on hand that will do well checks and nail clipping. So if you need to get your dog vaccinated or your cat vaccinated, please go see them at 414 Clay Street from 10 to 2.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. At this time, we come to the Visitors Citizens Forum. Any citizen with business not scheduled on the agenda may speak to the City Council. Prior to speaking, each speaker must fill out the speaker request form and give it to the City Secretary. The speaker request form must be submitted to the City Secretary before the item is called or read into the record. City Council may not discuss or take any action on an item, but may place the issue on a future agenda. Each speaker is limited to 4 minutes. Do we have some speakers lined up?
Yes, sir, we have 5.
Delane Siegerman?
Okay, I have to adjust this, I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Well,
You could take it off of there too.
let's see, if I wanted to bring this down. Well, I'll just hold it. I'll just do this. Okay. Hi, I'm Delane Siegerman. I live at 4000 Comanche Trace Drive, and I'm here to say thank you, Bill, for your service. I was kind of worn out after 30 months. I don't know how you've done 4.5 years, but one of the things that I think of when I think of Bill is his kindness. The kindness that he brought to City Council with the Kindness Award, which ironically enough tonight, I know a lot about that. But it just kind of after that campaign we had in 2018, you brought kindness back into the City Council chambers. And for me, it's the best way to start a meeting, is to recognize someone who's performed an act of kindness. And I think it leaks out into the public, and it brings even more kindness to our city through the things that they see. So I want to thank you for that, because I think before you were mayor, we did not have that kind of recognition. And it just kind of, it says who you are. You are that kind of person, and I thank you for your service. I hope you and Dina have some plans to enjoy life and try to relax and de-stress. So thank you, Bill.
Thank you. Could you look at the mic? Could you lower it or whatever?
It's not going to need it this
Wait,
time.
we're not gonna need it for Glenn.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna go
Thank
up here
you.
because I've got to put it so I can put my glasses on later.
I guess you can do that as a former councilman.
Are you telling me to go back over there?
No, go
Okay,
ahead.
don't
go
start
ahead.
my timer. Okay. I'm Glenn Andrew, 3553 LaCumbrie. Reverend Dr. Mayor Bill Blackburn, a few words of appreciation. Mayor and First Lady Blackburn, I come to this podium to share Lita and my and our family's deepest and most sincere appreciation to both of you for your service to Kerrville. You have served Kerrville as the pastors of Kerrville, and for the last 4 years, our mayor and First Lady. It is not presumptive to say that my words are echoed by thousands of citizens in Kerrville and the surrounding area whom have had the honor of calling you friend, pastor, mayor, or just Bill. You truly are one of the best human beings I have ever had the honor of calling friend. Just over 4 years ago, our community was being torn asunder by divisive leadership. The city staff and citizens were unsure when civility and leaders with servant hearts would again lead our city. A man I have called Kerrville's pastor somewhat reluctantly decided the community needed him to serve in a different role. Reverend Dr. Blackburn, a slow-talking San Angelo-reared man with the ever-present twinkle in his eye and a firm and warm handshake, filed for mayor. The excitement and energy around your candidacy was palpable. Bill, folks from every walk of life, every political persuasion, and every neighborhood volunteered to work for your election and to vote for you. Your 2 terms as mayor have demonstrated that support and energy were well placed. As on every project you undertake, you toss all of your energy, wisdom, intellect into being Kerrville's mayor. You were at the beginning, and you are today, the people's mayor of Kerrville. When our 6-year-old granddaughter offered to help in your campaign, you bent low and spoke to her as if she was the only person in the room. She was forever changed that day by that simple act. And those future selfless acts, such as sharing valuable time with her, the same young lady, over tea, answering her numerous questions, and driving by her house to wish her happy birthday when the COVID-imposed drive-by birthdays parties were invoked. Kenley loves you and adores you, Mayor. Bill, in your time as mayor, you have performed many incredible, kind, and grace-filled acts, but reaching out to our granddaughter will never be forgotten by our family. Bill, you've served as a mayor in the same grace, deep intellect, and ethics that have always been hallmarks of your entire life in Kerrville. You've been attacked unfairly, and yet you always found the way to offer grace and extend a hand of reconciliation. Affordable housing, the River Trail extension, new companies relocating to Kerrville, improved road and drainage, improved infrastructure, and numerous other improvements have been accomplished under your leadership, and all accomplished without a tax rate increase. Your legacy is established in many physical improvements in our community, but for me, your civility, kindness, and availability to everyone are the legacies that I will remember. When you and your skills were so needed, Mayor, the city barred you from your prior full-time job as Kerrville's pastor. We now bid you adieu from the mayoral responsibilities and know again Kerrville will be graced by having you as Kerrville's pastor. Rev, you're admired, respected, appreciated, and loved. Thanks, thanks, and thanks again. We all say, job well done. You've been a good and faith-filled civic servant. Thank you.
Thank you.
John Harrison?
Hey, I want real quick as John comes up, I want to tell you something. 1992 in Corpus Christi at the annual convention of the Texas Baptists, I was drafted and elected as vice president of the convention. That night, I called my mother in San Angelo. She was in her 80s. She'd worked for the San Angelo school system for 40 years. And I said, Mother, they elected me vice president of the Texas Baptist Convention. And she waited a minute and she said, well, that's all right, but don't you get the big head. Remember, a lot of those people voted for you just because they didn't like the other guy.
John Harrison, 2911 Dry Hollow. Notice I follow the rules. Just give me a little bit of credit here. Bill, I first met you when it was suggested that you'd be a good person to bring sanity back to the role of mayor of Kerrville. I, along with many others, spent a lot of time with you over starting in late 2017 to all the way up to your election. Among other things, I found out, Bill, that you and I have both good taste in music. Eva Cassidy and Jimmy Dale Gilmore are two names not very many people in this room know, but we know them because we admire their music. Bill, I was astounded by the love and respect shown to you throughout this community. It was clear to me and others that Kerrville had a chance to elect a very good person for the mayoral role. As it turned out, this community agreed and elected you with 62% of the vote in 2018, and then in late 2019 with 54% of the vote. Bill, I've not always agreed with what the decisions made by this group, but I'm confident that over the 4.5 years or 4 years that you've been mayor, that the councils have done what you think is right for the community. Over the past 4 years, I've had the opportunity to meet many people from all parts of this Kerrville and that had a genuine love for you, Bill. My family, as all families do, lost members of our family over the last 4 years. You heard about several of those losses and reached out and provided words of solace and comfort to me and my family. That meant a lot to me and my wife, Jo, and helped me understand why you are so deeply respected and loved in this community. Bill, thank you for your service to our community as its mayor and as a friend to many. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Pat Murray.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor and council members, for your service. But I do want to pile on, if you will, taking a few minutes to recognize the leadership of Bill Blackburn as he, can't believe he's reaching the end of his second term as the mayor of the city of Kerrville. Since 2018, in the city, now beyond that, as we've heard, he's also done this, provided positive, forward-thinking leadership to bring people together to solve problems and seize opportunities. Bill, along with other members of the council, the city manager, the city attorney, city staff, I think Bill would be the first to agree, it's not about me, it's about we. You folks, along with other community partners, Kerrville Public Utility Board, the Kerr Economic Improvement Corporation, have done just that. At times with appropriate challenges and maybe some inappropriate challenges from the public, but that's why we're here, so we can have those exchanges. Mayor, you have provided sound, thoughtful, reasonable, articulate, collaborative leadership for our community, even during a very disruptive time with COVID-19, with the divisiveness both on a national, state, and local level, sometimes even in our neighborhoods. Your ability to listen and respond to passionate commentary from citizens in our community is no small feat. Some of those folks, I think, seem to want to disrupt and distract the city council from what I see as important priorities, which you have carried the ball on with the Kerrville 2050 plan. Fiscal responsibility, public safety being right at the top there. I very much appreciate your depth of experience and knowledge with respect to good governance practices, which is not something that I have witnessed amongst many bodies in our community, but good governance practices, holding those principles up for others to emulate is so very important. Personally, I like to spend more time looking through the windshield than in the rearview mirror, but today I think it's appropriate to spend a few minutes looking in the rearview mirror and honoring your service and those that surround you and help you with that work. So thank you for a job well done.
Bruce Strakey, 615 Earl Garrett. I'm going to take a chance and go a different direction. I'm going to speak personally. And I hope that the crowd will listen to this as I'm trying to speak about Bill. But it's a personal story between Bill and I. It's about a meeting Bill and I had 15 years ago. My father-in-law, when I moved to Kerrville, said, "You need to speak to Bill Blackburn." I was going to start a business. I'd moved here from Salt Lake City, Utah, where I grew up and gone to college, and I came here to be near my in-laws. And so I met Bill long before he was mayor. And Bill spent time with some guy's father-in-law that he'd never met. He'd never met me. He didn't know who I was. I hadn't been in town more than maybe 4 or 6 weeks. There was no reason for Bill to take time out of his busy schedule to meet with me. He did it as a favor to my father-in-law. Bill gave me some of the best advice I've ever received. He told me that it wasn't time for me to start another business. I'd already started several. I was moving here to slow down, to spend time with my kids and my wife, to invest in a community. He said, it's too soon. He said, you need to get to know the people. You need to learn the community. Get a job. Just go work for somebody. Learn Kerrville. Learn the way Kerrville works and the joy that this city brings to its citizens. I'm wanting to start a business. I'm wanting to feed my family. Get a job. Don't start a business. It's what I always did. I would move to a town. Didn't have a job. I would start something and go. I love it. It's my passion. Something about the charisma, the passion, the caring, the love of this man in a 20-minute meeting convinced me to go get a job. That was 15 years ago, Bill. I've never forgotten that day. I still have the notes I took during that meeting, and I look at them regularly. God bless you. Thank you.
That's it, right? Okay, we need to move. We need to move on. I will have a few comments right at the end, but okay. Before we do, I walked in a little bit late and forgot to do something that is so important. I did not congratulate Judy Eichner, who will be our new mayor of Kerrville, 60th mayor of Kerrville. Brenda Hughes, re-elected to the city council, and Joe Herring elected to serve again. He was the youngest mayor ever to serve in Kerrville, and now he's coming back to serve on the council. So anyway, just congratulations. Yeah. All right. At this time, we come to the consent agenda. These items are considered together unless a member of the council or citizen pulls one of these. We have two items tonight, 4A, 4B. Would you read those in?
4A, interlocal agreement for cooperative purchasing services with the Purchasing Cooperative America, PCA. And 4B, City Council meeting minutes held April 26, 2022. No citizens have pulled either item.
All right. Okay. Do we have a motion on this matter?
I will move that we accept the consent agenda as presented.
All right. Second?
Second.
Got a motion second. All in favor, if you'd let me know by the raised hands. Okay, now 5A, Ms. McElhannon.
Approve updated row hanger project scope, funding, construction contract, and agent authorization for the Kerr County Airport. And there are no citizen speakers.
Okay, Ms. Behrens?
Yes, briefly, so this project has been in our budget since fiscal year 2020. It was a TxDOT project actually that got pushed because some TxDOT funding got reallocated to some other places. So The funding is now available again and needs to be approved for the use that we're presenting today. So I've asked Mary to come and give an updated scope of the project because it has been a long period of time and the scope has changed. So I've asked her to give that presentation to you, and then when she finishes, we'll talk through the finances to make sure if you have any questions, I can answer those, and then what action we'll need tonight. Okay, Mary?
Good evening, Mayor, council members, and staff. Thank you very much for giving me some time this evening to update you on our hangar project. As Julie said, we have a couple items we need to review, but I wanted to make sure you all got up to speed on what's going on. Uh-oh, I've got to learn how to use these buttons. Uh-oh. Okay, forward. Here we go. Uh-oh. There we go. That's good.
Now one.
There we go. Cool. So let me go back to this is a picture of the overall airport property. The area that we're talking about is identified with the pink star. It's for our hangar project, as Julie had mentioned, that we've been working on since probably 2019, 2018, 2019. The proposed hangar project that we're working on with the city, the county, and TxDOT is in the area kind of outlined in pink. And I wanted to talk a little bit about with you tonight about what hangars and what more hangars we have here at the airport and why they're important to the airport. So adjacent to the left of that pink box are two long hangars. Those are two buildings that store hangars, and there's about 28 aircraft in those hangars right now. And they store kind of piston aircraft that we know the names of. We know what a Cessna aircraft is, or a Bonanza, or a Mooney. They're basically personal aircraft that people use here in the Kerrville area. Those aircraft are what we call based aircraft. They are at the airport, they come back and forth and use this kind of as their home base. And the pilots that fly those airplanes are part of our larger aviation community, so our airport's aviation community. And they support all of our on-field businesses. So as Mark was talking about, we have a brand new avionics shop. So if folks need avionics data on their planes, they will go to our shop that's now here on the field. They get our repair work done on the field, and they also buy fuel from our businesses. So again, those pilots that are based aircraft are important to the actual viability of the airport, and they also supply a steady stream of income to our airport budget. And again, as we had visited earlier, it's about 25% of our income that we receive is from hangar projects on the airport field. We currently have a waiting list for more hangars. In other words, we don't have enough to supply to service everyone's needs. Just like housing, a lot of folks have moved out to the hill country. Handful of those folks also have airplanes. So we've got about 30 people on our waiting list right now waiting for additional hangars. As Julie mentioned, we applied for a TxDOT grant in 2019. We received or got a grant for about $600,000, and the city and county contributed also $150,000 each, and our total budget at that point in time was $900,000. So this is the program that we had prepared in 2019. This is what we call T-hanger. So it was a 10-unit T-hanger project, and it's again outlined in pink. That's what our proposal was. And I've had a lot of questions about what is a T-hanger, and everybody kind of confused about what a T-hanger is and how to do it. So the little illustration on the right is to talk a little bit more about a T-hanger. So basically it is a rectangular metal building. It has interior walls that kind of separate out airplanes one from the other. So if you take a look at the top left airplane, you can see the wing and the propeller and the tail. So when you go to fly, the dash part is the door opens up and you pull the airplane out. And then when you go fly around, you come back in, and again, you push it back in tail first. So the hangar space itself is fully enclosed to enclose into that for that airplane only. You can't see any other airplanes in there. There's walls all the way up to the ceiling in there. And the terminology T-hanger, because if you look at that floor plan, It looks like a T. That's it. That's it. It is a double-sided building. There's also places to store your aircraft on the right side as well. So the next hangar down, that plane would again be pulled out to the right. It would taxi around the place. There's asphalt on both sides of the building. And that's basically what it is. They're kind of just nested hangars, space by space, each having a door either facing to the right or facing to the left, and work their way down. So our initial program was 10 T hangars. We felt we had enough room and space to build the 10 T hangars. We wanted to make sure we also had room for folks that maybe wanted to build their own hangar. So you can see there's a large space between where the T hangars are up on the top of the pink box to the open area below. And we thought we had a pretty good plan here and felt that it was a good, solid plan. In the winter of 2020, we worked with TxDOT and selected consultants. They prepared the plans. Programmed all of our future development and worked with us to come up with a set of drawings. 2020 was, again, kind of a rough year for everyone. So we had a lot of construction, a lot of delays and concerns with moving forward, and also not quite sure where the economy was going to take forth. The engineering plans were prepared, and then the engineer made some construction cost estimates for the project. So by the summer of 2020, our little $900,000 project became a $1.7 million project. So we certainly were surprised by the tab that was requested and took a deep breath and really wasn't sure which way things were going to go. So
What was the number again?
$1.7 million. So fall, we kind of said, well, we have this grant. We really need to do something with it. So we actually recognized that it's, for us to be able to work with TxDOT and the grants that were available, we really had to reduce the scope, and not just a little bit, a lot, like 50% a lot, for us to be able to get ourselves back into the budget and be able to work with TxDOT on the project. So we spent some time with our engineers. We spent some time with TxDOT. We went into Austin and visited with them and kind of worked on trying to come up with some type of solution that would help us be able to service our airport pilots in our community and provide some goods and services that currently wasn't there. So, so this is the scenario that we're working with now. We've kind of called it a row hangar project. Because it isn't a T hangar, my hangars are just squares lined up next to each other. So again, if you look towards the right, you'll see they're just 4 hangars. Each one of them has one plane in each hangar, and you can only go out on one side. So the planes are only facing in one direction. So there's only one side of asphalt needing to be built. There are 4 hangars that are side by side, and they're all the same size. And again, they pull out in the same direction, go fly around and push back in on tail first. So that's the difference between a row hangar and just a T hangar. So we kind of understand what the difference is in the terminology. It's still in the same area. The project is still in the same area in the airport. It's still providing hangars for the project. It's just the scope has reduced and the hangar design is a little bit different. Just look at it. It's a whole lot simpler in design, a whole lot simpler in concept of working ourselves forward.
What's the difference in price between the R hangar and the T hangar?
So the cost of rent is based on square footage.
Okay.
So this square footage of a square is a little bit larger than the square footage of a T hangar, which is a lot tighter. So the T hangar itself, storing the same aircraft, would be less expensive. A row hangar, because it's a square and it has more room, would be just based on square footage, based on a rate on square footage, would be more expensive. However, as I've been working at the airport for a while, our pilots seem to have a lot of stuff, and I'll just put it that way. They have stuff. So sometimes places need places to store stuff or airplane stuff. So anyway, so I think folks will be willing to have a square box. Some of the guys will prefer to have a square versus a T hangar. T hangars are pretty tight. Okay.
And how much more do you charge, Mary?
It would be based on the size of the building. So I think these hangars are probably, again, it might be just a little bit of additional cost per square foot. These hangars have larger doors, so larger aircraft can fit into these hangars compared to the T hangars. So again, it's just a matter of doing the math. I think these are probably maybe 30% larger than a T hangar. So not a whole lot, not twice as big, but it definitely a little bit larger, and they will definitely, the rental rate for one of those T hangars, one of the row hangars, will be more than a T hangar. Okay. So our existing doors in the hangar that we have right now are We have 40-foot doors and 42-foot size doors, and these would be 45. So again, just different products for different size aircraft, for different size wingspans. So it helps us with being able to service more folks and more planes. Okay. Any other questions? So,
Okay, let me
yeah,
ask you
yeah.
a couple of things. So, in the funding of this, what are you asking for at this point?
Good enough. Good segue. Perfect segue. So in January, February, we worked out a different procedure with TxDOT. We are working on going out and getting some, got bids, actual construction bids. We actually put the plans out to bid to the market. And we received 4 different bids from different contractors here. And our the bid that we'd like to suggest we accept this evening is the cost of this would be these 4 hangars for the site work and the buildings would be $895,000. So we're at least back into the ballpark. I felt like I was so far out, but this is back within our realms of what we can consider working forward with on our program. So that's what we're coming to you tonight, is to review the change in scope, review what we've kind of been through and what we've been doing for the past few years of trying to get ourselves back into something that seems viable for our airport and for our partnership community. So,
and on that point, yesterday the county had a meeting. I assume y'all probably went there and presented the same thing.
Yeah.
Did they approve it?
They have some changes they need to do with one of their documents, so they went through the whole process I'm going through tonight, had questions, and then they're going to be working on some document changes, and then we'll be back again to them on the Monday the 22nd.
Will those document changes be similar to something we'll have to do too, or is that completely different just because of their own procedures? I'm curious if the changes they're making, is that going to affect what the city is going to be putting forth?
So I think I can answer that. So there's the airport falls under the county's financial policy. So they need to make some changes to the interlocal agreement to make sure that she's able to move forward with this project under the different scope, the different budget, those kind of things. And so we're working through that. You will have to see the interlocal agreement, but that doesn't have an effect on what you can or cannot approve today based on our financial policies, if that makes sense. And I'll get into that a little bit more after she finishes and just give you a quick overview.
Okay.
Yeah, good question.
Just
Yeah,
before you go back.
Yeah, absolutely.
In talking to you and others related to the airport for a long time, you can't really grow unless you have more hangars, right?
So there's 2 different ways of growing. So this based aircraft, how many planes you have at your airport is one of those just basic rules. It's kind of like a population. It's probably like how many houses do you have in Kerrville? In other words, but we have we have a place where we have based aircraft, and then we also have businesses. So I think between both of those elements will help our airport grow. So my experience here at Kerrville, since I've been here, is that we don't have a lot of space to build hangars like this. We, as I say to folks that ask me, why do we have a waiting list with 30 people on it? I said, well, the reason why we came out here, it's because it's the hill country. I'm not in a flat place. The airport isn't located in perfectly flat. So it's expensive for us to build hangars in Kerrville, and row hangars when you have a big, long, or hangars that have a big, long stretch of flat is really hard to build in the airport environment as well as in Kerrville. So our ability to build lots of hangars, either row hangars or T hangars, are limited to just a few areas in the airport. So our focus, as Mark has been talking about, is really on growing our businesses at Kerrville as well as our pilot population. But we have better opportunity to grow our businesses and our larger aircraft that have larger hangars than to be building these T hangars.
Okay, and one other thing.
Yeah, sure.
In terms of those planes that are based here, it looks like it's a combination of local people that have private planes. It is some companies that operate out of Kerrville that have planes. And then we have people from San Antonio who are basing here, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
So again, these are based aircraft that are just in the airport's T hangar projects is the 28 number. Our actual total based aircraft that the FAA keeps in track of is in, I think it's like 92. So there are a lot more aircraft out there than what's just here, what I'm talking to you tonight about. So our FBO stores airplanes, we have other people that have their own hangars on site. We have different things going on. So our number is a lot larger than 28, but the T-hangar projects that we have right now are in that number. So that's where we also have a lot more aircraft. So we've got a healthy number of based aircraft here at our airport that support our businesses.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I think Julie, probably it's more financial, but I did want to ask Mary. So going back to 2019, the 600,000 TxDOT, and then the 150 city, 150 county. When I was looking at the agenda item, it looks like the 150 that we've designated in capital improvements is not 150 anymore. So I was curious as to where we had already expended some of those funds.
Sure. We expended the money on the development of the plans. So in other words, we did a full set of drawings and then also went out to bid.
2020,
Yeah. So the TxDOT has expended, I think, $90-something thousand, and our group has expended another $20,000 or $30,000, I think, is what the net numbers are of what we've already spent to date on the project.
And then now the number is at 895,000 total, and we're going to be asked to move our budget up to 180,000. Is that right, Julie?
Yeah, I'll let Julie jump in.
I'm gonna move forward for a second and make this a little
Well, do y'all have any questions more?
No, I think that's the basis of it, but this is a good place for us to talk about that.
Exactly.
So back in 2020, we did put into our CIP projects $150,000. The county did, and we did as well. And so the total budget for this project, including the design, engineering, all those factors, not just the construction that the contract Mary was just speaking to, is 1.2 million now compared to what it was. Okay. So the difference now, and the reason they're able to do this extra, is because they have some fund balance there that they didn't have before that. And I think Mark alluded to some of that earlier when he was talking. So the airport is going to be able to put in their own money to make up the difference. So the only if kind of contingent thing here is we talked about the American Rescue grant that we brought to you for Mary to go out and apply for a few weeks back. And so with that not actually being awarded, we can't count that as revenue. So in the very unlikely event that the airport wasn't awarded that grant funding, then what we would be asking for tonight was to approve the additional 29.5 in the event that she didn't get that money, so that we could make up the gap between what they have in cash and what's already been committed, and then TxDOT's portion to the total budget. So in the event that the grant comes through, then there wouldn't be any additional money requested from the city or the county. But that was very hard to put into an agenda bill, so how do you? So I wanted to be clear that, you know, there is a possibility that we could be looking at, you know, 180,000, give or take, in the event that she was not awarded the grant. But if they get the grant, then there wouldn't be an extra ask. But we need to get, for her to go forward, we have to have project commitment.
So I understand there's a timing issue, and that's why we're being kind of asked to put aside a contingency. I don't know if I should call it that or not, but you're gonna need to have some assurance that the money's there before you have recognition of whether or not you receive the grant?
Yeah, the grant is based on 4 years of, they have a contribution of 4-year tranches of $150,000 each. And because it's taken us a while to get to this point, some of the grants are expiring. So we need to make those applications.
Those are going to start rolling up. Then you're not talking about the rescue grant, you're talking about the Texas.
Yes.
Yeah, the 150 that you get.
Yeah.
So make sure they get all of the 600,000.
Make sure we can allocate that before it starts going.
Yeah, those are rolling off, so.
Right, and that's why we couldn't wait on the American Rescue Plan Act or additional fund balance. Just going off of their reserves that they're required to keep, the 241 is all they have liquid at this point in time that they can commit.
Okay. All right.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Makes sense.
Thank you.
So the action that we're really asking for tonight is kind of threefold. So first, approve the project scope, accept that as Mary presented it, and then the funding sources as we've kind of outlined here. And then allowing Mary to enter into a construction project, and then also signing the grant application for TxDOT so they can move forward. So it's actually a kind of a three-piece.
Does it need to be made in 3 motions?
I don't. No, I think it can be made in one.
I have another question. Where's the 30,000 going to be coming from then?
It'll come out of our undesignated for CIP in the event that we need it. Now, it is a reimbursement grant, so they'll be
Right.
working on their own money for a good while, as long as
Right.
they'll pay something, submit, TxDOT
Till
will
they
turn
need
around
it.
and reimburse, and so they'll be working on that money until they get toward the end of the project. So we don't expect to see any county or city money moving for a little while, because there's, you know, a good waiting period by the time they enter into the agreement, by the time we actually have supplies on site.
These are hard numbers. I mean, like, you're locked,
what they're
pretty
saying.
much locked in with these
Yeah,
costs.
we got the construction contract. I mean, it went out to bid, so we're confident with the construction contract amount. They're on file, I think, with Shelley's group, and and we got really good recommendations from. I talked to other airport managers and made sure the contractor was of good and able, and he does a lot of hangar work, and he does a lot of TxDOT aviation type work that we're requesting too. So I felt comfortable with the contractor that we selected.
They're pending our approval and county approval. How fast do you see this project starting?
So our desire is to then get back to the county in 2 weeks and then be able to sign our grants, and then we would sign the construction contract. They have procurement requirements to put together, but they've been giving us, in the construction contract itself, because we had heard of a lot of issues regarding supply chain and getting materials in, we gave all of the bidders 180 days to get all of the materials on site. You talk about what's a cost. A cost is time and a cost is, money. So I was like, I've waited enough. I can give more time. I want the most economical cost. So I was willing to give everybody enough time to get all of the materials on site and be able to know they can get their materials here. So that's what they've been given. They think they can get started here probably early summer. So they're not going to need the 180 days. They feel they can get the steel supply done, and their concern right now is doors. So what is going to be in 3 months, I don't know. It's going to be something else, but right now that's what they were working towards. So yeah, our thought was to keep it moving as soon as we can.
Council, are we ready for a motion?
Yeah.
I have one more question for Ms. Burns about the city part of it. Now I'm a little bit confused. Can you clarify on what interlocal agreement it is? It's not the one about the existence between the city and the county.
It is. It's the joint
is
airport
that.
board interlocal agreement.
So council will get a copy
It will come back
and
to you.
we'll have to approve that, right? The amendment?
Yes, it should. Go ahead.
Right, and not to interrupt, but we don't think that the city needs to change that contract to do what the airport manager is asking you all to do. But as Ms. Behrens alluded to earlier, the county believes they do. And so they've sent over some changes, and we have looked at those and responded, and then for whatever reason, they just couldn't act on it this week. And I'm not casting aspersions, I'm just saying they weren't ready to do that. And so that'll go on their next agenda. It'll come back to you all for approval. But your action tonight will allow the airport to kind of go and blow on this project when they're ready to do that.
Do we know what's in the agreement that they're hesitant about? That they feel like they can't do that?
Well, again, as Ms. Behrens alluded to, there's the airport board follows the financial policies of the county, and their policies are wrapped up in state law, unlike ours. And there are some restrictions in there that they feel like they need to account for in changes to the agreement. So that's what we're working through.
So they can allow this to move
It's
forward.
just mechanics.
Okay.
And that will come back to you, hopefully on the 24th, for approval of that.
It's just the thing that they feel like they need to change so
Correct.
they can make the approval.
Yes. It's not
We're
anything
fine,
that's-
and then we'll
Yes.
come together on the same page with
That's
you.
correct.
That's correct.
So once the county is able to approve that and the things that we're asking you to approve tonight, then it will, so your approval is pending county's approval.
Right. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Thank you for clearing that up.
Absolutely.
All right, are we ready for a motion?
Sure, I'll make a three-part motion I'll move to approve the updated scope of the Kerrville Kerr County Airport project and the proposed funding methods, to authorize the Kerrville Kerr County Airport manager to enter into the construction contract for the project, and to authorize our city manager to approve any necessary agreement changes related to the project.
And I'll second that.
Got a motion second?
Wait, hold on, is that not
That's
right?
what,
Yeah.
It would be the airport manager, if you'll just substitute.
Oh, okay, so city manager, I'm sorry.
Right.
And then correction, to authorize the airport manager to approve any necessary agreement changes related to the project.
That's right. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, we've got a motion second. All in favor, raise the right hand. Ms. Rohr, stay there just a minute.
Sure.
One of the things that Ms. Rohr brings to this position, she was 21 years with HEB Corporation working on real estate. And so that helps us. Now, what kind of plane do you fly?
I fly a Cessna 172.
All right, okay. All right. Thank you.
And I would like to add, I was late for the last meeting when some of this was being discussed, and it was just so pleasant to walk in. There was county, there was city, and the board. And I don't know if, sometimes in the past, if that's all been really positive, but it has just really been positive. The city and the county are talking. They're working together, and I think Stuart has been played a big part in helping to bring some of these complicated things together. So I just thank all of you, and I thank the county for making this work as well as it is. So we still have a diamond in the rough, and we've still got to keep polishing.
That's it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you all for your support, and thank you for everyone, because Julie and Stuart both helped pull a lot of the strings together to get it put together, too. So you're right, Julie. Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Okay, I have an apology to make. I blew in here a few minutes late, and I did not realize that Joe Herring, newly elected to the city council, is right over here. And Joe, welcome, and welcome to back to the council. I will tell you that for me, to have these two wing women, Judy and Kim, on either side of me, giving me pointers is good. And maybe you can help Judy with that. She probably doesn't need any pointers. But Kim will pass me a note, you forgot this, go back and do this. And one time I got a little carried away, and Judy reached over and patted me on the arm and said, now that's enough, that's enough. So, that helps. Okay, 5B, would you read that in?
Professional services agreement with Walker Partners LLC for the Lois Street ground storage tank improvements and Methodist Encampment well site improvement project in the amount of $231,186. And there are no citizen speakers signed up.
There are no.
No, sir.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Mayor, thank you for your service. We've done a lot of work under your tutelage, so we look forward to the next thing, but we do appreciate where we've come from and where we're going. So thank you. We'll give you an opportunity to vote on a few more items still yet today. So we do have Joseph Jenkins, is that right? Sorry. Here with us today. He's a principal partner in the Walker Partners LLC. They're an engineering firm that we're looking at hiring to design our new Lois tank. The new Lois tank, or the Lois tank, was inspected back in 2020. Turned out that it has a lot of deficiencies, including the paint, the roof, the rudder, the hatch, just about everything out there. And so we've studied that and decided it is actually better to replace the tank instead of repair the one that we have. In doing that, we've also determined that the pump system that is there needs to be upgraded as well, because it pumps right into the side of the tank and it will no longer be functional. And those pumps are about 40 years old. So
how old?
About 40. I have to go back and we change them. We don't change them out. We just rebuild them all the time. So, and then in part of doing that too, we looked at the Methodist Encampment well site. It has a water quality issue up there, and so we are going to combine all that into one project, because the lowest tank pumps to Methodist, and so we will be able to work with this engineering firm to get the proper blending for TCEQ to allow us to use that well. Right now it's on emergency standard or standby, and so we're looking forward to letting this contract with this engineering firm so we can get these projects done. So if you have any questions for Mr. Jenkins or myself, we're both here to answer them for you.
Any questions, council?
How long has our other system, maybe you just said that, how long our other system, tell me again, it has been in place?
Oh, the tank itself, I'll have to go back and find the exact date. I use the number of 40 years on those pumps. I'm pretty confident that's about how old they are. They may be actually a little bit older than that. Mm-hmm. I don't know off the top of my head, because there's a potential that one of them's gotten changed out. There's actually 3 of them right now. One's 100 horse, one's a 75, one's 100, one's a 50, and one's a 25. And we're gonna go back with all 75s, and so they're interchangeable. Mm-hmm. And so right now, if typically the middle size pump is the one we use all the time, And so with the new system, we'll be able to stagger that better and switch out that pump so it's not running continuously. We'll have a full flight of 3 pumps that will be able to supply the demand that we need.
And we expect another 40 years out of these?
They're not making them like they used to. So, yes, so the design feature on these things is about 50 years of what we're going for. But there obviously will need to be maintenance over that period of time. So, yes, ma'am.
So I'm going to step in real quick. Grant Terry at the water plant gave me the invoice, Stuart. So March 29th, 1962 was when this tank was built.
Wow.
So
when?
1962.
52?
60. So we're looking at 60 years old from just a month and a half ago.
I have a
That
question.
was,
That's the tank components, yeah.
I was a junior in high school. That thing's old.
What's the timeline for this project?
So we'll be in the engineering phase. How long do you think the engineering is going to take us? It'll take 3-4 months to do the engineering?
A little longer. We got some permitting, probably 9 months.
9 months?
And will it affect water service in any areas?
No, we'll continue to use what we have now until the new comes online. And so we don't anticipate any water issues along the way, so.
I'm curious. I don't remember really talking about the Methodist well, but reading here, it will produce 700 gallons per minute. That's a pretty high functioning output, isn't it? And it's only on emergency now.
Yes. So it has some water quality per TCEQ.
Yeah.
It actually has some taste and odor in the well, and so they need us to blend it with the surface water treatment plant, and so all of that gets within their regulations. But we're going to look at a couple different options to eliminate that. We've identified.
So it'll be more online, like for example, like when we needed to switch over to well water earlier, it would be available in that case,
yes,
rather than just severe
just emergency. Yes, ma'am.
All right. Any other questions? Do I hear a motion on 5?
I'll make a motion to authorize the city manager to finalize and execute the professional services agreement with Walker Partners, LLC.
I'll second that.
We've got a motion second. All in favor, let it be done by the raised hand. And it passes unanimously. Now, we go to our next one, and you'll stay there, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Change order with M&C Fonseca Construction Company, Inc. for additional channel improvements as part of the Lower Lowest Street Drainage Project in the amount of $151,888, and there are no citizen speakers signed up.
Okay, Mr. Barron.
So this is a change order for additional channel inside the lower lowest street drainage. We did a tour of it recently. If you will recall, there's 3 sections of channel, or 3 sections of improvement within that drainage ditch. There's box culverts that are then in front of that is a concrete line, and then earthen line channel as it goes up to Highway 27. In the building of this project, we've found that the height of the channel that we were going to build, the concrete portion of it, if we build it as high as it was, we would need to remove most of the trees along the sides to get the right slope back for vegetation to grow on, or for grass to grow on. Excuse me, trees will still grow there even the way it is now. So what we've decided is that we're actually going to lower that channel, the sides of that channel a little bit, but that gives us an opportunity to move it forward, bring the concrete liner more towards Highway 27, about 350 feet closer to Highway 27. So the low flow events more of it will be in the channel more often. We looked at the velocities of those events, and they're going to be such that we don't feel that the erosion is going to be a problem on the upper side of the channel, because quite frankly, we don't have a whole bunch of rain events that happen in a 25-year storm right now. But they're also around 3 feet per second, which we start worrying about 5 or 6, 7 feet per second. So right now we think this is the best thing to do, is to get as much of that earthen channel and concrete as we can. Also within this change order is some fencing. That turns out to be a pretty deep hole as you look at it over there. There's a lot of backyards along the way that we would use those existing fencing. But we also wanted, that was an oversight that we There's some pipe rail fencing there now. Wasn't a complete oversight. We just feel more comfortable with probably some better fencing along the way. And so we are back asking for some fencing, which we would have to deal, or we will be working with the property owners for that, because the channel is very narrow, and the trees are aligned to both sides. And so we will be working with those property owners to try to find out if there is a high traffic area for kids. We want to build fence across that. And then also just as protection, maybe at the end of the streets and some of that. So we'll be working with those property owners, but we do need funds available or approval by council if you desire us to go ahead and do that. So we're here tonight asking for that change order for the $165,000. Lower lowest, excuse me, it's $151,888. Excuse me.
I'm glad to see that you're asking for fencing. That has bothered me.
Yeah.
It's, even if it weren't children, animals, dogs, and accidents happen. So I'm glad you're doing that. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions, council? All right, all in favor of 5D, let it be known by the.
I'll move that we authorize the city manager to execute the change
Yeah, I
order.
got ahead of myself. Okay, got a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, motion second. All in favor, let it be known by the raised hand, and it passes unanimously. Okay, 5D.
Purchase of 2 mobile generators from LJ Power, a buy board vendor, in the amount of $165,612. Such generators to help ensure emergency operations of the city's water system in accordance with state law. And there are no citizen speakers signed up.
Here we are again.
You're spending a lot of money tonight.
We'll finish these up pretty quickly, I hope. So, so these emergency generators, we're requesting to purchase 2 emergency generators. They are going to be outfitted to help some of our critical facilities. The library and city hall are going to be among those, but we will be able to use them throughout the city. So that's the benefit of buying mobile, is you can use them. The concern there is that, you know, there's 2 of them that we're buying, and there's probably the need for 15, maybe 20 of all varying sizes. So we're going to start with this. This will actually get us in compliance with the Senate Bill 3 stuff. It will house it, or will make it potentially the city hall and the library places for warming centers, or you can use our computers or whatever in city hall that we need up here for the EOC, however we want to operate that. So we'll be able to use them at the water system too. Typically our power doesn't go out all at once. And so being mobile really helps. We can hook on that and go from one spot to the next. But we will be back in the future. We've gone out for grants for those other generators that we've talked about. And so we anticipate coming back for approval of that grant, hopefully, if we get awarded that, and that will fund the majority of the other generators.
These are big, right? They're not like you stick them in your truck and
they'll be trailer mounted generators. So
Trailer mounted.
Yes, sir.
Now, this is mandated, this is part of that unfunded mandate from the state, right?
Yes, sir. And not only is it an unfunded mandate, they've given us a deadline of August 21st, or excuse me, 2021, to have them in place. So even getting them ordered, you know, it gets a little shaky as to can you get them here fast enough. So we needed to bring this forward to comply with that. However, it doesn't fix everything. These 2 generators, there's a lot of need throughout the city, and when they're running in one spot, that's where they're going to get used at, and so you can't move them anywhere. So we will be following up on that grant. Another piece of this is just the purchase of the generators. That was a little background I gave you of all the other stuff. We will be bringing another agenda bill to you for the actual hardwiring in of City Hall. It doesn't have a generator port right now where we can plug into to electrify it. Neither does the library. So in a future agenda, we'll bring that back to you to make that functional.
we're not planning on storing them at those locations, are we? Or that's to be determined. But
We'll probably store them at the water plant, or maybe at street department or something like that. No, they won't sit here.
Hey, questions on this one? Okay, do we have a motion?
I'll move that we authorize the city manager to negotiate and execute an agreement to purchase 2 mobile generators.
second.
Yeah, okay, motion second. All in favor, raise your hand. Okay. Now, come to 5E.
Citizen requested agenda item, a discussion of the current ethics policy for elected and appointed officials, City of Kerrville, Texas, as it relates to the mayor's behavior during visitors forum at City Council meeting April 12, 2022, requested by citizen George Brody and sponsored by Councilmember Redmond Garcia. There are 9 citizen speakers signed up. Also, we do have the requesting citizen signed up to speak.
Do what?
The requesting citizen to sign up to speak too.
Okay, all right. Okay, Mr. Brody.
Well, Mayor, can I make an introductory statement?
Sure.
Since I sponsored this, thank you. So, before we start on this item, I feel compelled to make an introductory statement as the sponsor of this item, and then I'll save the rest of my comments for after we hear from the requester and then the public for others who have signed up to speak. So last week, a citizen made a request to the City Council for this item to be placed on this agenda tonight. I reviewed his email request and spoke with him so that he could elaborate more on his request and I could understand the request and the issue at hand. Before I could agree to sponsor this request, I prayed about it heavily, as I always do, and I took time to review the relevant information. I reviewed the video recording of our April 12th, 2022 regular meeting and the situation that occurred during the Visitor Citizens Forum. I reviewed the statements that were made at that meeting and previous meetings to refresh my memory on what took place between a member of council and a member of the public in this situation. I reviewed our ethics policy like I have time and time again to refresh my memory. And what stood out among many was Section 4 that states that city officials have the primary responsibility to assure that ethical standards are understood and met, and that the public maintains full confidence in the integrity of city government. Council members have the responsibility to intervene when a city official's actions appear to be in violation of the policy. And lastly, I weighed the different perspectives and opinions and sides that I imagined could come up. And I recognize the criticism and scrutiny I may face by sponsoring this item, because I faced it before, but nothing can outweigh doing what's right. So after this, I recognize my obligation to take action, or intervene as our policy puts it. But this obligation is not just required by our ethics policy, but it's one that's required by my moral and ethical principles. To be clear, this intent is not to charge anyone with formal ethic violations or to censure anyone for something that he or she said. This is about doing what Section 4 says, maintaining the public's full confidence and the integrity of their city government. And to fill that, we must acknowledge what occurred and clear the record of the wrongdoing. Let me also be clear that this agenda item was not sponsored on the premise that it was brought forth by Mr. Baruti. I like to note that throughout my tenure, I've had about 7 requests from the public requesting a future agenda item, and I've supported all 7 of those requests, some of which are still pending to come before council. So if anyone has an item that you would like to add to our agenda, I encourage you and I'm happy to consider it and talk to you about it. In addition, I recognize the need for this item to be placed tonight on tonight's agenda. Out of respect for the process and for all those involved, including the mayor, this discussion should take place tonight where the mayor can have a fair opportunity to also respond and be heard. And before I conclude, I'd like to respectfully remind everyone of Rules 4.6 and 5.4 of the City Procedural Rules for Meetings. 4.6 says that a council member shall limit remarks to the issue or question before council. And Rule 5.4 discusses the remarks to be germane and not redundant and says that public comments must be kept relevant to the subject before the council, and that persons making irrelevant, personal, impertinent, overly redundant, or slanderous remarks may be barred by the presiding officer from further comment before the council during the meeting. So, as we all consider this matter, I thank everyone in advance for your adherence to that, and I thank everyone for your time, consideration, and attention to this matter. Thank you.
Mr. Brady.
George Brody, 1616 Glen Road. Thanks for sponsoring the item. First, let me start off by debunking some myths. This is not an item to get somebody. This is an item to defend the honor of my family and my name, and which involves my son, my dad, and my grandfather, and everybody else. And to those of you who actually understand what's going on in my life right now, it's important that my father gets his name cleared right now. To start with, just read a couple of quotes that actually happen to come from the same speech at Oberlin College by Martin Luther King, one that's been sitting with me for a long time. He has two lines in it that matter a decent bit to this proceeding. The time is always right to do right. And the other is, for it is possible to stand up against an unjust system with all of your might, with all of your body, with all of your soul, and yet not stoop to hatred and violence, which is not my intent here. I had a bunch of stuff to say. Truly, I don't really want to say most of it. I don't really want to. We're here because I felt the mayor went out of his way to. I had already stepped away from the microphone in a visitors forum, and he went out of his way to essentially call me a liar. You know, I've always been taught you got one thing in your life that you got to take with you unless you give it away, and that's your name. And to have him call me out as a liar, which was both unwarranted and unfounded, I thought that was inappropriate. I am not actually here, and he knows this because I sent him an email that night, to look for a charge. I couldn't care less about your ethics. It's your all's ethics. Only thing I'm caring about is my name. And I don't believe it's appropriate for a sitting mayor to sit up there and actually attack a citizen. This room is supposed to be a safe place, as your ethics code does say, but it should be anyways. And what I've seen happen in here is now we've got a couple of council members that have done it, where citizens are attacked for their speech, and that's it. We have citizens come up and call out other citizens for their speech. This is supposed to be where we exchange ideas, and it doesn't happen. And I felt like there was a chilling effect by what the council did. The mayor did his thing, and nobody said anything. Nobody said boo. And it just seems like that's y'all's, I mean, it says it in the ethics. Mr. Garcia pointed it out. I guess I'd have a few questions of the mayor. Did he actually look at the video and the email that was there that he was referencing that I had lied or told an untruth, I think is the way he put it? Did he actually review those? Did you review those? You said you would.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you find evidence that you were looking for? Because I didn't. Did I tell an untruth?
I did not call you a liar.
No, you didn't. You said I spoke an untruth.
And
when I asked, did you see anything in there?
And I asked you a question. I didn't attack you. I asked you a question. Also, you drug Mr. Garcia into this because that night we were looking at that issue of you're saying you're effectively violating the charter if you order this election in May. Mr. Garcia said the biggest thing is the Secretary of State Election Division has responded to why we should hold the election in November. So if I can get a response from staff, why is that incorrect? I said, do you have it in writing? The Secretary of State's office has said we ought to have the election in November. Mr. Garcia, you said it was provided to us from questions from a citizen. Obviously, Mr. Baruti. And you know, in terms of the trust of the community, I think about you pursuing this matter from December of 2020.
Sir, this isn't the actual agenda
For
item, what you're
more,
doing
for
right
more
now.
than a year, you wanted to move the election. And everybody knows why.
Sir.
The idea, no, the idea is you wanted to move the election to the general election because you hoped that more of the local political group called the Patriots and the Tea Party and others, and let us vote, would show up in November than they would in May, and the election would be different.
Sir, with all due respect, that's not the agenda item at hand.
I was gonna say respectfully, Mayor, I hate to interrupt and I don't want to do this, but a point of order can interrupt all discussion as a procedural state, and the election has nothing to do with the item that we're talking about.
Oh, sure it does.
No, it absolutely does not, sir. The
yes,
agenda
it
item
does.
is about you calling me and saying that I was saying an
You
untruth.
and Mr. Garcia claiming that the Secretary of State had said that we ought to change the date from May to November.
Which I never did. I never claimed that. And this isn't about Mr. Garcia. We're here because...
Your time is up.
No, I give him some more time.
Yeah, So with all due respect, it has nothing to do with Mr. Garcia. What we're here for, as I said, is the way you were treated, this body, this room treated one person. That was me. I did not actually tell an untruth in anything you referred to. You actually just responded and said that. You referred to what he said. That's a misunderstanding on his part. That's not my problem. You, without factual information.
A point of order. Mr. Brody, I would like, instead of being accusing, could you just give us the rest of your remarks, please?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And I'm not accusing, I'm defending.
Well, it just,
to be clear.
If you would
so
just.
The next question was, when I sent you an email that evening, Mr. Blackburn, Mr. Mayor, did you not respond without actually apology or anything to it? You simply said, I am collecting, I continue to collect. Thank you, I'm gathering more evidence as to how you purposely sought to mislead this community. Did you not do that?
Sure.
Okay. And then following up after it was actually put on the agenda, did you not send a derogatory, inflammatory text to Mr. Garcia, basically berating him for allowing this citizen to put an agenda item on?
I think Mr. Garcia can speak to that item if he wants to, but
That's fine. I'll ask Mr. Garcia. Did you receive a text after sponsoring the item about it being a somewhat derogatory text about putting it on there?
Yes, I did receive a response from the mayor about it, and
put it nicer than in terms that he was not happy with it. Would that be fair to say?
that's very fair to say.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So back to your ethics code, since I didn't really want to go there. I mean, because it's really not about that. The end result, all I was looking for, and it doesn't sound like it's going to occur because I don't think he can humble himself enough to do it, is to actually just say, you have no evidence to support.
Point of order, Mr. Brody, this is not a time for.
I'm going to put my ask in, okay?
But don't make the kind of remarks like that. Just state your case.
All right. Your ethics C is civility. City officials shall refrain from personal charges upon the character or motives of the public. That's an understanding of your ethics code, correct? That's C.
It's not a question and an answer.
Go ahead.
Mr. Brody.
Well, I'm asking if he understood it before he did it.
Wrap it up, please.
Use of public, I don't care about that one. Positive word, city officials shall, this is Q, city officials shall support the maintenance of a positive and constructive workplace environment for city employees and for citizens and business interacting with the city. That isn't what occurred in a visitor's forum. So the ask was simply to have the mayor say, or to put into the record, I can read it myself if it have to simply say, let the record show that I, the Mayor Blackburn, at the April 12, 2022 City Council meeting did wrongly and without evidence accuse Mr. Baruti of, I'll change it to speak an untruth, to council and the public concerning information from the Secretary of State Election Division. City Council wishes to extend its deepest regrets for any embarrassment and harm this may have caused the Baruti family. I would like to have that read into the record by...
Point of order.
Go ahead.
You're putting words into the mayor's mouth, and I don't believe that's what this is all about.
He didn't do that.
No, okay. Let me see. What you said there can be included in the record in some form, but, okay, thank you, Mr. Baruti. Okay, do we have speakers?
Yes, sir. Pablo Brinkman.
Pablo Brinkman, 3928 Oak Park Drive. I don't know if I want to read this, make a paper airplane out of it. Well, let me just keep going here. I may ask somebody to yield some time because I'm feeling pretty spunky right now. The main reason why I'm feeling spunky is I know what you're thinking, Mayor. It's another Pablo Tuesday 2 Talk, and that's why we're here. The last one we had was on 2/22/22, and so I'm feeling good because I'm 2 years younger than the well we're replacing. That's the first thing I'm feeling good about. Once again, I truly hope that this action item that Mr. Broody is talking about is really based out of ignorance versus arrogance. I'll change my vernacular a little bit because I've been in here and I've watched on YouTube and I've seen Mr. Broody just say things that I've seen him do sitting behind there. And maybe he's learned from things of, maybe it was kind of an admission of guilt on his part that he wanted to apologize for some of this, because I've seen him and heard him do things. You know, giving somebody the fair.
Avoid personal attacks.
Okay, I'm sorry. This will go with this, Bill, or Mayor Blackburn. The two talk. We spend far too much time chasing unicorns in this city and in this council. And we have far too much to be thankful for, to be working on, that is positive for our city right now. There's things that the council's working on, that staff's working on, that development's working on, that realtors are working on, that our citizens are involved in, that is so positive for Kerrville. And there's people around the nation, developers we work with, that are paying attention. They paid attention to this local election, believe it or not, in Kentucky, Texas. They wanted to know what was going to happen. Mr. Garcia, I've discussed with you a few times. I know your goal is to sit center seat. I will tell you that
I never said that, sir. Sorry.
Okay. Well, I must have hit my head when I talked to you and you said that.
It's okay, but also point of order, that's not what the agenda item is about.
But I would just encourage, I'm going to give you a praise. I'm very impressed the way you brought that up, that you had that. It was very similar to the last time I got up here on my Tuesday Pablo 2 talk. And so, you know, I would just encourage sometimes be John Wayne. Walk slow, talk slow, listen much. You know, there is not a soul in here that's involved in our community. Why attacking? We have too many reasons to come together. The soft cost that it takes to chase these unicorns is ridiculous. Our firm is fortunate enough to be working on deals all around the state right now with developers. We're meeting with council, we're meeting with city leaders, we're meeting with city staff, and there is bar none that what Kerrville has with our staff, with the attitude of all these people back here, it is a positive. And I don't see it in other communities. So we need to puff up our chest a little bit. We have a phenomenal opportunity to go forward. I would urge things like this. It's ironic that it happens on Bill's last day. Bill, you've left us in a great, great, great place. We are set up to move forward. You've given tireless efforts, 4 years. I want to thank you. I'll echo everything that everybody else has talked about in the city. But my last thing is, let's try to stay positive. We've got too much to be thankful for. We survived COVID. We've gone through with our economy right now. And I will leave one last personal comment. Roman, I think you have a brilliant mind to do some phenomenal things. I've told you that before here. I told you that at Kerrville Economic Summit. I encourage you to be John Wayne. Talk slow, walk slow, listen much, and maybe involve yourself and be involved with the community. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
I'll behave this time over here. I'm Glenn Andrew, 355 the LaCumbry. And if there's any doubt about my feelings about Bill Blackburn, my emotions are pure. We love that man. I rise to express my most ardent disdain for the proposed challenge that Mayor Blackburn's actions were unethical. Words which arise in my mind to describe tonight's proposed vote are hideous, childish, rude, disrespectful, revengeful, and other synonyms which can be found in your thesaurus. And tonight sets a new low bar for this type of behavior by a sitting city council member. I will not lend credence to any argument as to whether or not a minor violation of board procedures occurred. I simply say I've witnessed up close and in person such baseless and revenge-filled attacks for over 6 years. But tonight, well, as they say, this one takes the cake as the most immature, rude, and childlike of all. Roman, this attack on the very night.
Don't attack.
I'm not. The very night, this attack on the very night of Mayor Blackman's meeting has not gone unnoticed and will not be forgotten. Why would someone sponsor such a mean-spirited and divisive agenda on this night? There's only one person who loses, and that's the sitting council person. It's so easy, Roman, to be an every meeting critic and gotcha. But Roman, maybe it's time to put your energies to a better use and help move Kerrville forward for everybody's benefit. Stop playing victim, pursuing showmanship over substance, and trying to gather a pound of revenge. You don't have to agree on the policies, but civility, positivity, and respect are keys. It's time to put those at the forefront of your agenda.
Thank you.
This is McLean, just a minute. Would you read the names of the remaining persons signed up to speak?
William Rector, Ashley Phillips, Lang Guerrero, John Harrison, Renee LaFaso, and Bruce Strachey.
Okay. I want to ask a possible change, okay? The change is I think these are folks that are going to be supportive of me. And I appreciate that very, very much. But should everybody speak?
They waited here.
All right, okay, we'll go ahead. Remember, no personal attacks, and
Siegerman, sorry, I
Okay.
got you down.
no personal attacks, and don't cuss.
William Rector.
Promise not to curse. William Rector, 705 Water Street. And I've saved my remarks for Bill Blackburn until this time because I want to thank him sincerely for giving our community 8 years of unselfish service. And we really appreciate you and appreciate the things that you have done. Being a mayor does not have a lot of power, but one of the things that position does is it allows you or asks you to speak for the council, to speak for the city employees, and to speak for the citizens of Kerrville. And we have a model of civility in Bill Blackburn. If this is a problem with our ethics code, I think we need to look at changing our ethics code because I believe that the way this is worded, it somewhat hampers the ability of Bill Blackburn to speak to the citizens. He needs to be able to follow Amendment 1 of this book just as well as the people who stand before this microphone do. You need to be able to say honestly what your feeling is about the charges that are being made. I watched the tapes. I was at one of the meetings, and I do not feel like there was any ethics violation at all committed. But if there was, I think we need to look at our ethics policy and say, maybe this is asking too high a bar of someone who is representing the council, all the city employees, and all the community in one. I thank you for your service. You've done a tremendous job, and enjoy your retirement. And I look forward to reading your book.
Thank you. Ashley, you want to pass? Okay.
Yeah, feel free to come up. You're good.
Can the microphone be adjusted, Mr.
I'm in my tallest heels, so. As sociable as I am, I'm actually very nervous right now.
Give us name and address.
Thank you. Ashley Phillips, 2718 Shepherd Reese Road. And I am friends with so many in this room, and I am very supportive of all the hard work that y'all do. And I just wanted to say I appreciate your sacrifice as public servants. And I appreciate the time that each of y'all have individually given me outside these chambers towards my interests and concerns as a citizen of this community. And I just want to congratulate all of our incomings and offer myself as a resource to help. And sorry, that made me nervous, but thank you so much for your time, Mayor Blackburn. And I wanted to come before I knew any of that was happening and say thank you for your time and your service and being one of the very first people that welcomed me to this community 4 years ago and helped me to get plugged in and implemented in all the ways that I have. And to all of you coming in, please call me, and I would be more than happy to help. So, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Phillips.
Ashley ran a program in East Texas in Crockett called Keep Crockett Beautiful, which is a state and national program. And now the city manager and I have been meeting with her about doing a Keep Kerr County Beautiful project, protecting the natural beauty of the area. Okay?
Lane Guerrero.
My name's Lane Guerrero. I live at 307 Lakewood Drive, Kerrville, River Hill area. And I just wanted to sort of step up here and just say how much behavior and ethics means to me. And just recently when we went through this whole election process, I think a lot of people who run for office get to talk to a lot of people. Y'all know that. And you're out there talking. I talked to you, Roman. But a lot of citizens, you know, came up and were very supportive of the city. And I think a lot of that has to do with sort of maybe what happened when we had our freeze. You know, we had all this great city management and city planning to get to that point when we had the freeze, and it went smoothly. The response was amazing, and that's what got me involved, kind of more interested in the city. I was very impressed. But like this election, you know, all the hard work you did over the last couple of years, all of you built that trust up with the city, and they gave you that trust and are giving you the funds to build the public safety facility. And that was a big lift. It's a credit card, basically. They didn't have a design, they didn't have a picture or anything else, but they trusted you. And so I think there's really not a problem with the ethics in this city council. I think the behavior is fine. And I'm looking forward to, you actually are moving, my stepmother lives 2 doors down from you, so I'm gonna see you every once in a while. and I'm looking forward to that. But I wanted to just say I support it. I support you, and I'm very impressed with how the citizens told me what a great city council we have. So,
thank you, Mr. Guerrero.
John Harrison.
John Harrison, 2911 Dry Hollow. I didn't write anything out tonight because I didn't know what I was going to say, or even if I was going to say anything. But, you know, I want to sort of jump on what Pablo said. You guys are the leadership of this community. I mean, everybody knows you're the city council people, and Joe, you're going to be sitting up there. And, you know, I've been a manager and a leader of organizations, large organizations, small organizations, for many, many years. And I'm older than almost everybody up there, but not quite. But I'm still learning about leadership. I mean, it's tough. And it's not easy to be a leader. But one thing I do know, that sometimes leaders just have to say no for the betterment of the bigger picture. And we, you know, well, there's I don't know how many citizens, 25,000 citizens here in this community, and you can't address every citizen issue at this dais, at this group. So I would encourage you and Joe, as you think about your role as a leader, and be willing to say no for the betterment of the bigger group. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Renee LaFaso, also known as the Art Lady. I'm at 24727 State Highway 16 North. If you got that, it's pretty long. Wow, it's been a while. Hi. It has been a while, and I haven't been up here in quite a while because there hasn't really been much of a need. Things have been going really smoothly, and it's been pretty impressive to watch on YouTube. for the most part. I just wanted to read a couple of definitions real quick. There's assertive people. That's probably me. Definitely honest, direct, expressive, self-confident, empathetic to emotions of all involved. Then there's passive-aggressive. I believe when I saw this item on the agenda, I thought, oh, that seems like a passive-aggressive thing that's happening right now. Because when Baruti has been there on council, I have felt as a citizen, and many people know, tons of aggressive behavior. And it's been really hurtful in a lot of ways. But now, on this side, as a citizen, I see that he's being passive-aggressive. Self-denying, self-enhancing at the expense of others later. These are the kind of things I just don't understand. You know, Roman, you're doing the same.
Easy.
Oh, I am being easy right now. Roman, you sit up there, and most of us know that you're being passive-aggressive as well, in some ways. A lot of us see you. You put on a really good smile. You do. I would like to think that you have good intentions in all of it, but I don't know, as I asked Bonnie White once before Bill Blackburn became mayor, do you really care about all the citizens of Kerrville or just your own agenda and just those that you see fit?
Okay,
I'm going to wrap it up right now. Bill, you have literally saved my life as mayor. You coming in as mayor from the previous mayor who broke ethics violations all the time with me at this podium. You actually gave me hope again, the hope as a leader, and gave me love and care, and it literally has saved my life, and I want to thank you for that very much. So that's all.
Thank you.
Bruce Streaky, 615 Earl Garrett. You know, citizens have two primary rights and responsibilities. And they are to vote and to be involved. And this is one of my favorite involvements in this community. And when we come up here to the podium as a citizen, whether it's at a citizens forum or on an agenda item, we bring our best thoughts. We bring what we believe. I don't believe people come up here ingenuous. I believe they come up here with their best thoughts, their passion, something hopefully constructive for the city. And we've all been, I've been going to city council meetings for over 20 years, not all here in Kerrville, in many cities. And some folks just come up to nitpick. But folks come with their best thoughts, whether they're nitpicking or they're constructive or whatever. And that's their job, that's their obligation, that's their right, that's their privilege. But they need to do it in a way that offers a constructive path forward. A way that they can bring an idea to a city, to the citizenry, and lay it out in front of the elected officials, our representatives in a representative democracy. So they voted to get the representatives in front of them that they believe will pick the best path. And when we bring our best thoughts, when we really think about it and constructively come here and offer our suggestions, our thoughts, sometimes a criticism when it's appropriate, what we're really hoping for is a council that will pick that up and lead our community forward. But we have to remember as a citizen here that once we share those thoughts, they're no longer ours. We have to put our ego away. No matter how you vote, we need to thank you for your service. And we need to understand, even when you vote in a way we didn't appreciate, that you're leading this community forward. That you're the ones that we voted for to represent us and lead us the best we can. And at times, Mayor, it's time to say enough is enough. Because some folks, they do just want to come up and complain about things. They really don't have a constructive way forward. They want to bring something up over and over and over again because they're unhappy with the last response. They can't respect the fact that we've voted you all in to lead us forward. And it's our representative democracy at work. And that's the beauty of this system. And if we look back at Kerrville and what a wonderful place it is to live, whether I've agreed with the council or not agreed with the council, we have moved forward constructively, sustainably, and in a way that makes sense. And we need to continue forward. And I thank you all for your service and your ethical behavior.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Michael Siegerman, okay.
Yeah, Michael Siegerman. I live at 4000 Comanche Trace Drive, and it's quite obvious, Mayor Blackburn, I don't need to defend your ethics. Your ethics have been defended quite eloquently tonight. You are probably one of the most ethical people I've ever met in my life, and I appreciate everything you've done. But I'm going to take a little bit different look at this because I actually did go back and look at I don't know how many council meetings, looked at agendas and looked at videos over the last 6 to 8 months. And this issue with Mr. Baruti and the election has been going on for a year. Mr. Baruti has stood up here more than once and said that the city can't hold the election in May. The city is violating the city charter.
Excuse me, Mr. Siegerman. Mayor, point of order. This isn't about the election.
This is chronologically getting to the ethics.
Yeah, it's about the charge. Go ahead.
Councilman Baruti and Councilman Garcia, and you will be a part of this. I am chronologically looking at where we got to the point where the mayor made a statement that it was an untruthful statement. Over and over again, we've heard this. I looked at the meetings. The last meeting I saw where Mr. Baruti said that you're going to hold an election and you're going to have these people spend money and the election's going to be voided anyway because it's not legal. Do you remember that council meeting where he said that? And then we get to the council meeting where he stood up and said the same thing, and you, Councilman Garcia, said that you were in receipt of an email that a citizen received from the Secretary of State's office that said that the city could not hold their election in May. It had to be in November because they were violating the city charter. Do you remember that? Because that was a statement that you made. At the time, we did not know that it was Mr. Baruti, but it was Mr. Baruti. So we come to find out that that was not a factual statement. There was no email from the Secretary of State's office that said the city was violating the charter. I think that's where the untruthful statement remark came. But irregardless of all that, the mayor made a statement. I believe the statement was probably true in some fashion where there was no reason why the city couldn't hold the election. But getting beyond that, the mayor's defended the city staff, the mayor's defended the city attorney, and that statement was made more than anything else, probably for that reason. And I don't think there's been any ethics violation by the mayor. Thank you.
Thank you.
There's no action to be taken on this matter. We have one more matter to consider, and it's for executive session.
Mayor.
Yes.
If I may make a couple of responses, please.
Okay.
I won't take my full 5 minutes, I promise. Real quickly on that, starting, I guess, with the most recent, with all due respect, that's an inaccurate quote from what I said at that meeting. And I respectfully ask if anybody is interested, I'm happy to provide you the link to that video. But that quote's inaccurate. I did not say the city secretary stated that it would be illegal or any way for us to hold that election, but that's not what we're here to discuss again. But I'll be happy to talk to anybody about that after the meeting. A couple of other things. Mayor, respectfully, you said that I was dragged in to a situation regarding the election. Again, I hate to have to be talking about this because this is not the subject, but these allegations were made, so I'm going to clear it up. I wasn't dragged into anything. I think everybody knows I can make my own conscious decisions just like all of you can. I chose to do something out of everything that I read, everything that I understood, never dragged into anything. I make my own conscious decision. There's a claim that my goal was to be at the center seat, although I appreciate that statement, and if the city would like to have me there maybe one day, but I've never stated that that's my goal. My goal really is just to serve the community in my home. But I appreciate that, and if the city wants me in that seat as mayor, maybe one day, but that's not what I'm looking for right now. I'm sticking on the path that we're on, and the seat that I'm in right now, in the position. And then I was asked to maintain civility and respect in our position. That's exactly what I'm here trying to defend, is the civility and the integrity of this body. And if we can't have these discussions without seeing one side as badgering or making personal attacks on both sides, I admit it's on both sides, then we're never going to be able to come together as a community to resolve these. I would pray that we all really recognize the obligation, especially as city officials here at the dais, that we each have not just to assure that our ethics policy is upheld, but that we maintain an atmosphere of respect and civility where all of us are free to express our thoughts, ideas, and opinions, even when they're differing, without the fear of being reprimanded, having personal attacks on us, so that we can begin to work together and achieve what's best for Kerrville, our community, and our home. And not just because the policy says so, but because it's really a moral and an ethical and a right thing to do. So to both sides, to everybody really in the community, and I say this to myself too every day before I come to council meetings, nothing's personal until you make it personal. And we all just need to rise above that. Sitting up here on the dais, we're the leaders of our community. And we need to make sure to take responsibility for the actions and the things that we say and lead the city forward. I understand we need to move forward, but that same mentality that we just move forward beyond everything that's happened, even those negative things that we need to correct, that mentality that we can just move forward and overlook these infractions, that actually prevents us from solving ways so that it doesn't happen again, and we can prevent that to happen again. And it hinders the work and the city moving forward together if we can't talk about that. That's all this discussion was, to acknowledge that, to make sure we clear the record of that. It's turned into something different, clearly, but that's that. I know that there was a suggestion that we could include this statement of Mr. Baruti he made as city council statement. I'm not going to make that motion. I don't think any other council member will support it, and I'm not really sure what he read off, so I can't do that. But I do think we all just need to come to the conclusion, acknowledge the actions of our council members, whether they're improper or proper, whether there's a basis to what they said or not, and be respectful to everybody and our citizens. Thank you.
All right. The one remaining matter we have is appointments to the Economic Improvement Corporation. The interview team for that is Mrs. Eichner and me, and we have not really completed that. So I would like to make a motion that we postpone that item of the appointments to the Economic Improvement Corporation to May 24.
I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor, let it be known by the raised hand. Okay. All right.
Oh, I'm sorry. Are we good on like terms expiring? They can stay in office until their successors are appointed, right?
They're serving through the end of the month.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you. All right.
Okay.
Good. My vote stands.
Okay. The now let me make an apology, Chief. I need to talk to you after the meeting because I did not read or give this proclamation to the EMS guys, and I need to set that right. But I want to talk to you. Okay. Let me just make a couple of comments, and then I've got some written remarks. When I start the written remarks, you can start me on 4 minutes. But after all of these things have been said tonight, I'm going to leave here and go over the Guadalupe River and walk on water. The other thing is, you know, when you have a whole bunch of people get up and brag on you and talk nice about you, I'm surprised somebody hadn't said, "Don't he look natural?" Okay, you can start that. You can start the timer. It has been an honor and a privilege to serve these 4 years as Kerrville's mayor. Being mayor was not a goal of mine, nor on my bucket list, but in 2017, I became convinced that we needed new leadership on the council. 5 people said they were going to challenge the incumbent. I told several of them that I would support them if they ran. All 5 backed out. So in January of 2018, I announced that I would run for mayor. The values I have sought to follow as mayor are, and as the council, are integrity, respect of those we work with, and citizens who come before us. Third is compassion, and then productivity. Being mayor is a mixture of frustration and fulfillment, but I am fortunate that the fulfillment far outweighs the frustration. My greatest fulfillment is seeing projects move ahead that help citizens and make a stronger, safer community. I've always had a heart for low-income people, and that comes from both my mother and my father. This can be seen in some of the nonprofit organizations I've helped to start: Habitat for Humanity, Christian Women's Job Corps, Christian Men's Job Corps, the Doyle Community Center, and more. On the council, we have sought to find legitimate, wise ways to help all the people, but with special attention to those in poverty and near poverty, like not raising taxes and, in fact, lowering the tax rate every year. Through the Neighborhood Assistance Program, about $1,500 per month is used to assist low-income households with water and sewer fees. This is money donated voluntarily by persons who are water and sewer customers, plus the work we've done in the Doyle area. And one of the best things we have worked on as a team with others is attracting good, solid businesses here like Killdeer Mountain Manufacturing, and by seeking to be a business-friendly city and council so that employment opportunities remain strong here. In a council city manager form of government, the city manager oversees the implementation of the policies and other decisions the council makes. And we have been served by 2 excellent city managers, Mark McDaniel and now E.A. Hoppy. Both are well-trained, smart, and very ethical. This is a good city staff, and their training in their fields from parks to streets to library and more continues. Plus, they have unique opportunities to get training in leadership and in the Lean Six Sigma system, leading to greater efficiency. What will I do now? Stay out of the way of the new mayor and the council while being supportive and appreciative of their work. I'll be writing, including my 8th book, The Musings of a Small Town Mayor. And I want to just enjoy nature, from gardening to hiking, kayaking, and some travel. While I miss the most of the council members I count as colleagues and friends. Unfinished business, the protection of the natural beauty of this area, We are potentially moving ahead with a national and state program that will probably be called Keep Kerr County Beautiful. And Ashley is working with us on that. Finally, I quote my mentor, Peter Drucker, who's a genius on leadership and organizational development. I quoted him on the night in 2018 that I announced for mayor, and I quote him again. Leadership is not rank, privilege, titles, or money. It is responsibility. Thank you to all of those that I've served with. Thank you. You do it yet?
Don't do it yet.
I can't dismiss this?
You can't
No.
dismiss
Okay,
it.
the three journalists are here. I have a copy of this for you. Go on at the end. Okay.
If you just
What?
sit for a second.
She's already, see, she's already getting those.
You're gonna give me the gavel?
Kim.
I need more authority at home. This is the truth.
Good luck with that, Bill. Good luck with that.
To this day, my wife will not call me Your Honor. Okay, good now. What is this?
Well, we just have a couple things for you. I'll let you open this.
Okay. Where do I open it?
Well,
I think
probably.
I got
There
it.
it is.
Oh!
Yes, see, you got it.
It is the
It is the
gavel.
gavel.
It's
Oh.
You can take it home and use it anytime you want.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna pull it out of the
Take it out.
plastic.
Mayor?
Yes.
When we were at the Economic Summit,
Mhm.
they put a placemat at each of our tables. And it was a pretty good reflection of you having your hand in several projects. So we wanted you to have a reminder of all the things that you have done during your time with us. And we appreciate all you've done, and we will miss you very much.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so Weston and I wanted to make you something, so we know that you're environmentally friendly.
Yes.
That you love HEB.
Yes.
So we made you, from our very own home, a recycled HEB bag with the mayor on here, complete with duct tape, but inside are letters from friends and citizens telling you what you've meant to them. And I want to extend this to anyone in this room or anyone that's listening tonight. We will have a canvassing of the election next week, and we can fit more letters in here. So
Hold on
this
to
is
it,
for
hold on to
you.
it. Okay,
You want me to hold
after
it?
the-
Okay,
yeah.
all right. This is for you, but I'm
Okay.
going to keep it for now.
All right,
Okay,
okay.
all right. I'll take it.
More to come next.
We have a few other things, Bill.
Oh,
We're saving them for.
I'm ready to quit.
We're saving them for the 17th.
Oh, okay, the
And
17th.
you are all invited on the 17th, 5:30?
5 p.m.
5 p.m.
Arcadia.
at the Arcadia. So we'd love to have you there.
More to come.
This is getting a little thick. Okay.
Now,
Now you can adjourn.
Now I can adjourn?
Now
Okay.
you can adjourn.
Yeah, Tammy, yeah. And see me just briefly after, Roger? Yeah. And Lewis, okay. Boy, my last city council meeting. No. You're adjourned.